I currently feed 19 different kinds of food to my aquarium. Hey everybody, welcome back to my first fish tank. Happy Wednesday. This week's video is everything about aquarium foods. I'm gonna go over my feeding schedule, my top 10 foods, my least favorite foods, so on and so forth. Remember, we post a new video to YouTube every single Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so subscribe and turn on those notifications down below. We also post to Instagram 1 to 3 times a day. So go and follow us at My First Fish Tank for those live updates. And I post these videos 1 week early on my website in the members only section. So if you want to become a member, go to www.myfirstfishtank.com. There's a sign up form right there. It's free and it gives you access not only to the video a week early, but tons of other stuff. Also, if you're a beginner watching this and you're thinking about starting your first saltwater aquarium, then go to myfirstfishtank.com. The website's 100% for you. It has a 30-step guide. Thank you, Scout. Okay, that's plenty of the intro. Let's get right into the video, everybody. I totally forgot one thing. If you want to buy any of these products or see what they look like, go to the description below. I'll have a link to all the products, my top 10 and my least favorite as well. So we're gonna break down my top 10 current foods, but before we do that, I think what I need to do is I need to tell you about all of my livestock, because honestly, my top 10 foods are really livestock dependent, and so some of the foods that didn't make the cut aren't because they're not amazing food, it's really just because they don't fit with my livestock. This is my 20-gallon long coral quarantine tank. Firstly, I have 6-line wrasse, but I usually will have different LPS corals. These are all Euphyllia. I have Astrea snails, Nerite snails, a conch. My second tank is the 40-gallon breeder quarantine tank. I have in here only one fish right now. He's the yellow watchman goby. Lastly is my office tank. This is the tank that has the most life. My frog spawn. Acans right there, feather duster worm, a peppermint shrimp. Living underneath this rock is a tiger pistol shrimp, 4 rose bubble tip anemones, turbo snails, Necarius snails. Let's start with my 3 least favorite foods. And again, a disclaimer, I'm not saying they're my least favorite because they're terrible foods. They're just my least favorite because my livestock don't seem to like them. My least favorite number 1 right now is this Hikari freeze-dried brine shrimp. My fish don't seem to like it. I figured that, hey, they love the frozen brine shrimp, so why wouldn't they love the freeze-dried brine shrimp, you know? And the second reason I don't really like this freeze-dried brine shrimp, because it floats. It seems to never sink, which isn't ideal for a lot of my animals. Like for my cleanup crew, my snails, they're not going to the water surface. They need food that's gonna sink, and for some reason, this just doesn't. My number 2 least favorite food is the Hikari Mega Marine algae. I just don't have any of these fish that are algae eaters. The only algae eaters I currently have in my tank are snails, and I think the conch might eat some algae as well. Not a huge fan of this one, but I'm gonna keep it because in the future when I have some algae eaters, this will probably be a good one. Okay, my third in the least favorite category currently is this V2O Foods Marine Fusion. It's very, very red if you take a peek at it here. Krill, mysis, brine shrimp, mussels, squid, algae, and HUFAs. Huffas? I have no idea what that is. My fish do like it, but most of it ends up just getting washed away. I find that they don't go crazy for this one. So this is my third least favorite currently. Again, I'm gonna keep it for the SCA 120. Once I get some other fish in there and a much larger population, this will probably end up being a really, really good one. Let's jump in and do my top 10. So coming in at number 10 are Ocean Nutrition Prime Reef Flakes. I know tons of you guys use this. It's a really good food. Honestly, it's the only flake food I currently use. It comes in these large red flakes. You open this up and it is very, very smelly. The fish love it. The anemones will even grab pieces of this. The snails will go after it as well. The only issue I have with this one and why it's number 10 is a lot of it ends up just floating and going into my overflow box, and that's not a problem. When I feed now, I just turn off my return pump for 20 minutes, and that seems to work just fine. Number 10, Ocean Nutrition Prime Reef Flakes. I know a lot of you guys use them, and you use them because it's good stuff. All right, coming in at number 9 is V2O Foods New Vision All-in-One Marine Food Blend. It is a mix of pellets and flakes, but take a peek here. It's small pellets. It smells really good. Feels like a really high quality, slightly moist. It sinks very slowly. It's considered a slow sinking food, so it does end up making its way to the bottom of the tank, which is really helpful for my shrimp and my cleanup crew. So a really good dry food. I keep in the refrigerator. Don't know if I need to, but I think it will help it keep longer. So that is number 9. All right, coming in at number 8 is V2O Foods New Vision Mini. I use this one almost entirely in the coral quarantine tank. It says that it's meant for LPS corals, filter feeders, and small fish. So it's really perfect in my quarantine tank that has the wrasse and then all of the LPS corals. It's, similar to like a Reef chili, maybe even a Reefroids, very, very small pellets. But there are some slightly bigger pellets up to, 1 millimeter in size, which are really good for the fish. It's really good stuff. I would really like to see how this does up against something like Reef chili from BRS, or what's the one from Polyp Labs called? Reefroids. I like to see how they do together. But this is number 8. Okay, coming in at number 7, again, V2O Foods, the Arctic E-Z Pods. They are a cold water copepod. I really have nothing bad to say about these. My fish seem to love it. I'll even sometimes target feed this to my corals, to my anemones, and they do seem to grab on. They don't seem to like it quite as much as brine shrimp, mysis shrimp, or spirulina, so that's why it's relegated to number 7 and it's not higher up on the list. But overall, a really good product. Arctic E-Z Pods, number 7 from V2O Foods. Number 6 has just been one of my go-tos for years. It's New Life Spectrum. And why are you so blurry? Maybe I'm just too close. New Life Spectrum 1 millimeter pellets. I love this stuff. I've used this for many years. It comes in different sizes. It comes in a big, a small, 1 millimeter. It comes in larger sizes. This is just my go-to when I'm feeling lazy, when I don't want to prepare something, when I don't want to thaw out the frozen food. That's when I go to my New Life Spectrum. You can see pellets, good size, super dry. They really do keep forever. All my carnivorous fish eat them. They stay on the bottom, so they sink really quickly, so the snails will pick them up. The shrimp go after them as well. Just a great product, super cheap. You can pick it up pretty much anywhere. Breaking into the top 5, number 5, V2O Foods Mini Mysis. They're like regular mysis shrimp, but they're really small. And for my current livestock, which has very few fish, all of which are small, the wrasse, the goby, I will also target feed this to my anemones, acans. They seem to go crazy for it. The shrimp will come out, the pistol shrimp will come out. When I feed this one, I do turn the return pump off for about 10 minutes because a lot of this is super lightweight and it will get sucked up into the water column and push into the overflow. But a really good product, especially if you have smaller fish. I think this would be really great for like dragonettes, for seahorses, anything with a small mouth. Number 5, Mini Mysis from V2O Foods. Coming in at number 4, we got another product from V2O Food. This is the Marine Krill Plus Soft Moist Pellet. It's 1.2 millimeters. Just a great pellet food. It smells super fresh, not super fishy like some of the other ones. They're slightly wet pellets. They're a good size for small fish. Any bigger than this and my wrasse can't eat it. I've seen my anemones grab onto this. I've seen my acans grab onto this. The shrimp will come out and they'll consume this as well. Slightly fancier and higher quality version of the New Life Spectrum. Don't get me wrong, I love the New Life Spectrum, but this just seems to take it to the next level for a pellet food. This is number 4, V2O Foods Marine Krill Plus. You'd think I'd remember it by now. Any of these could easily be my number 1, but this is gonna be number 3, V2O Foods Coral Food Mix. This stuff is amazing for the corals. Now let me read to you what it has. It's a mixture of zooplankton, spirulina, and different types of phytoplankton. What I love about this is it is super fine grained. It almost looks like a dust inside of the tank. I turn off my overflow during this time and I just let the wave maker recirculate this. Corals love it. They absolutely love it. Not only do my corals love it, but any sort of filter feeder loves it. So in my office tank, the only filter feeder I have right now is I always want to say bristleworm. The feather duster worm seems to love it as well. I feed this in both my office tank behind me and in my coral quarantine tank. Super high quality product. It would probably be similar to a Reef Roids, but in a frozen version. Number 2 could easily be number 1, and I'm sure for a lot of you this is your favorite. It is Spirulina. I use this one from V2O Foods as well. It's a mixture of brine shrimp and mysis shrimp. What can I say about Spirulina? For those of you who have used it, Hikari, other brands, it's just good stuff. It is high quality shrimp. I will direct feed this to my Nems at least once a week. They'll grab onto it like it's nobody's business. My acans grab onto it. The pistol shrimp love it. Every single critter in my tank loves it. And also what I like about something like a Spirulina is it's not going to hang around in your tank forever. Because it's so buoyant, it does sink down, but as long as you have some wave motion, it will eventually be sucked out and into your filter, which is great because that means it's not going to break down. So, awesome. Number 2, Spirulina from V2O Foods. Drumroll, everybody, we're finally to number 1. It's my favorite. I've used it for years. I'm sure a lot of you do too. Hikari's brine shrimp. Nothing fancy about it, just a high quality shrimp that's great for your tank. I probably use this the most out of any of them. I'm convinced that things like the brine shrimp and the Spirulina, that my direct feeding of these to my Nems specifically is causing some crazy amount of growth and causing them to split. I also do feed my Nems silver sides, but they seem to just digest them and then spit them out within a day. With these, they seem much easier to grab onto these and to keep these inside of them. So number 1, Hikari brine shrimp. It's an oldie, it's a goodie, and what can I say? It's just amazing stuff. I think you guys can probably figure it out by now. I do have a favorite brand, V2O Foods. The reason is not complicated, but there's several factors going into that. Number 1, I've met the owner, Chris. I met him, I believe, at both Reefapalooza and Mackinac last year. He has like 30 years of experience in this industry. So you know he knows what he's talking about, right? I've actually seen him in a video eat some of his products. So I don't recommend eating the fish food, but you know it's human quality food, which is probably not true of all of the fish foods. Number 2 is their selection. V2O has everything you can think of, from pellets to flakes to this pseudo frozen food to frozen foods. I've never seen such a large selection, and it's really affordably priced. So it sounds like I'm a salesperson for V2O Foods. I'm not. I just love their product, and I am planning on continuing using them well into the future. Last but not least, I want to talk about my feeding schedule. There is no rocket science here when I'm talking about my feeding schedule. I just keep a few things in mind. Number 1, I don't like to overfeed my tanks. I typically overfeed once a week, and that is on water change day. I vary in all my tanks between pellet foods and frozen foods. I will feed my anemones meaty foods 2 to 3 times a week. I think is a perfect amount because it gives them time to digest. For the corals and for my feather duster, I will feed some sort of coral food twice a week. Probably the frozen food from V2O once a week, and then the dry food that I just mix with a little bit of water from V2O Foods as well. I really believe that the success, especially of my Nems right now, because I feed a variety. I do feed 19 different kinds of foods. That's it. That's my top 10. That's my feeding schedule. That's my livestock. Put a comment down below telling me either what your feeding schedule is or what your go-to foods are. I would love to hear your feedback. Happy reefing, everybody. Don't forget we post a new video to YouTube every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so subscribe by clicking right here. If you'd like to build your first saltwater aquarium and or get these videos 1 week before everybody else, go to myfirstfishtank.com. The link should be right here. Follow us on Instagram at myfirstfishtank, and why don't you check out this video? It's probably all right. Happy reefing, everybody.